The night had been long and cold, the kind of cold that doesn't just touch your skin but seeps deep into your bones, reminding you that warmth is a luxury, not a guarantee. In the city where people rushed past each other with heavy bags and heavier hearts, she stood quietly in the middle of the street, holding a tray of food wrapped in simple foil. The world barely noticed her. Cars sped by, people clutched their coffee cups, and neon signs blinked above shops that promised comfort only to those who could afford it. But she was there, unmoving, her breath forming small clouds in the frosty air, her eyes searching the faces of strangers. She wasn't selling the food. She wasn't begging either. She was just standing there, like a quiet lighthouse, waiting for someone lost to see the light. Before we go further into this story, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of compassion to change lives, please take a moment to like this video, share it with a friend, subscribe to our channel Kindness Tales, and leave a comment about a time someone's kindness touched your heart. Your support helps us spread these true acts of humanity to the world. The woman's name was Maria. She had once known comfort, warm kitchens filled with laughter, a husband who came home smelling of oil and grease from the auto shop, and a little boy whose giggles turned their small apartment into a home. But life, as it often does, had shifted beneath her feet. One car accident, one medical bill too many, and then her husband's sudden passing left her with nothing but debt, grief, and a child to raise alone. She worked tirelessly, 2 jobs at first, then 3, but the city has a cruel way of breaking the strongest backs. Eventually, she lost the apartment. Her son was taken in by her sister for stability, while Maria, determined not to burden them further, found herself living in shelters and sometimes on the street. Still, she never gave up on one promise she whispered to her little boy before handing him over to his aunt. "Mommy will always find a way to be close to you. I'll never stop trying." And that was why she stood there in the street. Every night she would take what little food she managed to save, sometimes from kind strangers, sometimes from soup kitchens, and wait near the corner where she knew her sister walked with her son on the way home from school. She didn't dare approach, afraid her ragged clothes and thin frame might scare him. She didn't want to disrupt his fragile sense of normalcy. But she stood there, hoping that just once he might notice her and know she was still there, still keeping her promise. On this night, it happened. A little boy tugged at his father's sleeve as they passed. His eyes widened, and in a voice soft enough to sound like a secret, he whispered, "Daddy, look, it's her." The man looked up, confused. He followed his son's gaze and saw the woman, her figure half hidden in the shadows, clutching food like it was both an offering and a shield. At first, he didn't recognize her, but the boy's eyes filled with tears, and he whispered again, trembling with both hope and disbelief, "Daddy, it's Mommy." The father froze. He wasn't really his father. This was Maria's brother-in-law, the man who had stepped in when Maria couldn't. His heart ached at the sound of that word, at the sight of the woman who had once been full of life, now standing fragile as glass. For a long moment, he didn't know what to do. But the boy broke free from his grasp and ran to her. Maria dropped to her knees, arms trembling as she opened them wide. The foil-wrapped food fell to the ground, forgotten, as her son collided into her embrace. Tears streaked down both their faces, mingling with the cold. She kissed his hair, his cheeks, every inch of him, whispering apologies and promises all at once. For a moment, the street disappeared. The world was just mother and child, reunited under the indifferent glow of streetlights. But reunions are complicated. The brother-in-law approached slowly, torn between relief and hesitation. He knew why she had stayed away. Her pride, her fear of being seen as unfit, her struggle to rebuild. Yet here she was, still fighting, still holding on. He could see it in her eyes. Maria had not given up. The following days were difficult. The family wrestled with questions. Could Maria take her son back? Was she strong enough, stable enough? She begged for a chance, not with anger, but with a soft resilience that only comes from hitting the bottom and still choosing to rise. She promised to work, to rebuild, to prove she could provide. Her brother-in-law saw her sincerity, and for the first time, he believed she might succeed. What followed was not a miracle overnight, but a slow, painful climb. Maria started volunteering at a local shelter in exchange for meals. That turned into small cleaning jobs. The same shelter offered her a bed and eventually a chance at training. She seized every opportunity with fierce determination. Each night, she returned to the corner where she first reunited with her son, not to wait in the shadows anymore, but to walk him home proudly by his side. There were setbacks. Some days, she felt the weight of judgment from strangers. Some nights, she lay awake, wondering if she was enough. But each morning, her son's voice calling, "Mommy," pushed her forward. Slowly, her face regained its color, her back straightened, and her hands, once trembling, grew steady with purpose. Months later, something remarkable happened. A local cafe owner who had seen Maria's dedication at the shelter offered her a steady job, not just cleaning tables, but eventually managing shifts. He saw in her not pity, but strength. Maria worked tirelessly, saving every penny, and one day, she held the keys to a small rented apartment. Nothing fancy, but enough to call home. When her son walked through the door for the first time, his laughter filled the rooms. Maria stood there, tears slipping down her cheeks, realizing she had kept her promise. She had found her way back to him. But what stayed with everyone who knew her was not just her return. It was the way she continued to give. Even after securing a home, Maria never stopped standing in that street corner. Not for herself anymore, but for others. With the extra food she bought or cooked, she stood there, offering it to the hungry, the forgotten, the overlooked. People began to notice. Some mocked her at first, but many joined in, donating meals or volunteering. Soon, that lonely corner became a beacon of kindness, a place where no one walked away empty-handed. Her son would often stand by her side, handing out food with pride, introducing her to strangers as, "My mommy, the strongest person I know." By then, Maria understood something deeper. Life had stripped her of everything once, but it also gave her the gift of perspective. She knew what it meant to be unseen, and she vowed no one else would feel that way if she could help it. And the boy who once whispered in awe, "Daddy, look, it's her," now shouted joyfully to the world, "Look, it's her, my mom, the one who never gave up." Friends, if this story touched your heart, please don't just scroll away. Take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to Kindness Tales so we can keep bringing you real stories of resilience and compassion. Your engagement helps these messages reach the people who need them most. And before we end, we have a special request. Please leave a comment with the words, "Kindness never gives up," if Maria's journey inspired you. It will remind others who read it that no matter how dark life gets, kindness and persistence can light the way back home.